Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jerome, and today we've got a pure, fun conversation with Duane Scott Cerny. Duane is the co owner of Broadway's Antique Market, the author of 2 books, and the writer behind the substack Is All My Fault. Duane is a very funny man who writes with wit just dripping from the pen. He'll enjoy that pun, and I hope that you enjoy this conversation.
Hey Dwayne, how you doing?
I'm good, Jerome. Oh, the, uh, the fire trucks are coming for me. So, well,
It's just a little ambiance for the conversation. It's
yeah, isn't
fun.
it? Yeah, I'm in New York because it's a little noisy.
I was surprised to find you in New York because in our last conversation, we were talking about BAM, Broadway's Antique Market, and I mistakenly just assumed that you were in Chicago all the time, just 24/7 and tied to the store, even.
Right. They never let me out. That's a common assumption. Yes.
But you've been in New York for about 20 years, or at least you had a place in New York for 20 years.
Yes. My partner and I, we used to do shows here on the piers, the antique shows, and we'd of course stay in cheap hotels, which are there's no such thing really in Manhattan. And over the years, I kept going like, we're spending a fortune on these hotels. It's like I went, and I started doing the math, and was like, wonder is there any way? So that's how this all came about. Uh, yeah, this is so it's the West Village. This is Bleecker and 11th,
Okay, you
Magnolia
don't
Bakery.
you don't need to give the internet your home address.
Oh no, I won't.
Okay,
I'll,
okay.
like his Magnolia Bakeries across the street. So that's the landmark that we all have to deal with.
My husband loves that bakery and their pudding, I think in particular. I'm not a pudding guy. Um but he makes it a point like anytime we're in New York to go there. So we'll be right across the street from you at some point for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Just tossing pudding up to my balcony.
So that was something I didn't know about you, that your place in New York, your time there. And then you also let me know the note reads, I have a
Uh-oh.
young LGBTQ. Now, you're an author. So I thought, oh, maybe like a young adult queer novel coming, or I've got an immature gay sense of humor. Did you did you adopt a child? Did you have a kid? Like, what happened there?
Did I drop a vowel? um, so I'm sorry. So it seems like everything. I just love you because every time you ask me something, I just go off into some random story that seemingly doesn't have a point. But um, in my 20s, I wrote a young adult picture book with a young woman I partnered with, and she did the illustrations, and it's a big poem. Uh, and I don't exactly know how, but by sending it out again, this is in the 80s. Um, it actually I got an option on it, which threw me. There was a gay editor that just loved it, loved it, loved it. I don't want to mention the name of the publisher. And I flew to New York. I've been here before, but for the meeting, and all the suits sitting around,
Oh,
and one by one, they said, you know what? We're not comfortable with this material. Yeah. And this guy's pitching it going, yeah, I thought we were going to do this. This guy, so at the last minute, they pulled the rug out really from under him and under myself. And this is bad. This is Dwayne. This is what he does. I threw that in a drawer, and I never looked at it
oh
again.
no.
Oh, until recently. um, and now I have a little bit more of a platform to bring it out. It's still, I think it's as relevant now as it was then. And I'm hoping they're not as frightened of it.
Oh.
um, yeah. I mean, things have changed. greatly. Oh my gosh. Right. So, yeah.
Okay, well, I was just working off of that fragment of a sentence that you sent
Mhm.
me. So this is all new information. Um, where where exactly did you store this book for? Was it 35 years? 36
Yes.
years?
30 plus years. Yeah, in a drawer. It's one of those. You've got a box of rejection slips and a box of manuscripts. Um, and that was rather dumb. It was. I can't really explain it other than the fact that I was really devastated that I came that close. And I also was other things in my life, were going on, personally and professionally. And it was like, I just can't go through this again. I would say I pretty much forgot about it for a long. And you sure yourself, you go back, you look at something, take a second look, and go, you know, maybe there was something to that.
Yeah. Is that agent still around?
No, no, I think I'm the only one who's still around. Um, and it's called Pink About That.
Pink about that.
Pink About That. Yeah,
I
Pink
got
About
it.
That.
I got it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
it's pink about that. And are you at the point where you've just pulled it out the drawer and you're dusting it off and you're shopping it around, or are
right,
you
correct.
self-publishing? Okay, you're shopping.
Yeah, shopping it around, and if that doesn't work, as I have in the past, I can self-publish it. And it's beautifully done. The illustrations are hilarious, and uh, I'm still very proud of it. It's just, I mean, everyone I've showed it to goes, "Oh my god," but it's just easier said than done getting something out there. But
Absolutely. But
I think, hmm,
well, you also mentioned that you have more of a platform now. Um,
yeah,
Certainly more than you did in the 80s. And I think that's
yeah,
absolutely true. I was reading some of your Substack earlier today. It's called It's All My Fault. And I
mhm.
think the link is duanescottcerny.substack.com. Is that correct? Am I giving bad information?
Yeah, I think it might be the substack.com/Duane Scott Cerny, but you know,
Okay.
in the mirror, it's correct.
We
Yeah,
in editing we will discover which one is right, and we will make sure that we get the right information to people. But I was having a really good read this morning, going through your articles and essays and little snippets, um, and I was getting early David Sedaris vibes from some of them. I
mhm.
think the piece that stood out the most to me in that regard was the Valentine's Day cards. um, and it really took me back to the early Sedaris days when he was quite the absurdist. Now
Mhm.
he is more of a general observational humorist, in my opinion, but like he was like wild back in the day. And
Yeah,
it's clear that Duane, you are wild now in some of your writings.
if you're going to go,
Well, what took you to Substack? Because you wrote, selling dead people's things. You wrote Vintage Confidential. You chose not to continue writing these books instead and go to Substack. So what brought that on?
I had a wonderful poet in Milwaukee whose name escapes me.
Sure.
Uh, we'll get it in there. And she wrote a review of selling dead people's things, and that review was published in the Village View, which is a newspaper in the East and West Village, and it's a physical paper as well, which is wow. I
Oh.
mean, right, it's an actual paper. You could touch it, clip out the coupons, and, line your bird cage. 1,001 use. But, really great paper, and it's gotten better and better. Anyway, so she wrote this review and got it in there, and I contacted them and thanked them for publishing it and pitched them a column idea and said, "Would you be interested in a humor column?" And they were like, well, "What do you got?" And so I've been with them almost. I think I'm in my second year now. So so then they evolve into Substack pieces.
Beautiful. Um, as I'm thinking about the 30-year ago book and the existing Substack, and then the two novels, was it? Were you always just wanting to be a writer, and you just kind of happened to also have antiques? Like how was? Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Affirmative nod, emphatic nod.
you're
Okay.
right. Other part. Yes, I wrote a novel when I was 16 and typed it,
Sure.
uh, and it was called Insanity Land.
Okay.
And my dad read it, and I think he was like, "Oh God, he's odder than I thought." um, and it was, I mean, it was very supportive. But it was, and I really did use that. I would say, by the time I got into college, and I had a column in the student paper, and I was the associate editor of my college paper as well. Anyway, yes, always wanted to write and have little poems and little things published here and there, but that doesn't pay the bills, and it still doesn't. So yes, and then antiques came along. Uh, I think in my 30s, I was doing computer work and uh, for lawyers as a paralegal, and I was just burnt out
Yeah.
on that wasn't fun. It was as someone said of Jacqueline Suzanne once. Oh, Truman Capote said of Jacqueline Suzanne, she's a lousy writer but an excellent typist.
Fair enough.
Right? And, oh, is that me? I'm really good at typing. So
So the newspaper that you're published in, do they not have a digital version of the paper at all?
they do, yeah, they do both.
Okay. So then is the content from your Substack the same as what's in the paper? Like should they not be just pushing it out through the paper?
Well, that's that's a good question.
That's a
I can
question for their marketing team.
can I put you on hold? Spectrum. Uh, there's more content on the Substack, and I'm always trying to do other things there, little special things that make it kind of have its own flavor. But I definitely get more mileage. Let's just say I don't really know I think they have 15 or 20,000 copies they distribute every month, but I don't know how many people read me.
Yeah.
Couldn't. But and only lately I've been trying to cross market the two.
Well,
Um,
I will say in your Substack, you're right. You do sprinkle some additional things in there, additional pieces of media. But one piece that was missing when I was reading this morning had to do with, I think it's like a live interview that was happening at BAM over Christmas. And I think in the Substack article, you talk about how you and your staff got everything all nice, and there was tinsel and what have you. And the reporting team comes in, and the cameraman just like makes a whole mess of it, and it's terrible. Um, and I was looking for for a link to the video in the Substack.
oh, yeah, yeah. Television station has not provided that said link. And for the listeners at home, what it really came down to was the cameraman and the interviewer, the media person, just did not get along that day. They were upset with each other when they walked in the door, and that was going to be okay. How do we, can we all just get along just for this segment, right? And no, he wasn't cameraman. And it really comes down to it's what the cameraman wants to do is what's going to happen. So yeah, so some inappropriate incidents occurred.
I suggest people go ahead and go to the Substack and just sort by top articles. And I think it's like the second or third one down. It was a really enjoyable coffee read for me this morning.
People do like that, and I will say, I of course, I know of David Sedaris, and he's a genius. He's brilliant, and I read a number of years ago, but I really just tried to I've heard as this has come along, people have made the comparison, and it's quite the compliment. But I think I'm my own animal,
Mm-hmm.
and I agree with you. Some of his early things were just out there, and I'm just shocked he didn't get sued. But so there's plenty of room for me.
Oh, are you kidding? Yeah. He's gone in a totally different direction.
Yeah.
You're so fun, and I want to say a bit more contemporary in your writing. In particular, I think I read you. You were lampooning some of the administration in your with your political commentary,
Uh,
and
I
just
do get.
and I wanna hone in on that. But I would say a key difference, obviously, between you and Dave Sedaris is that he is often looking back on his past. I think he literally published his like diaries, from like way back. We're here today. We're absurd today, Duane.
I I don't. I mean, I'm in the vintage business, so I'm always looking in the rearview mirror.
True.
Like I tell the past, so I think my writing tends to reflect the present and the future, uh, and there's just the absurdity of these times. Just
Yes.
oh my god. And on one hand, like for any to say humorist or a comedian, it feels like, oh yes, these times are just ripe for parody and fun. And on the other hand, things are so terrible.
Yeah.
It's difficult. And I have had times where I've just been, especially you get a column, you've got deadlines. I've got deadlines to meet here, whether I feel funny or not.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Friends have pointed out to me, no, this is what you do. You're contributing by doing this. And I love that because I didn't really think of it in those terms. And so that's been a better motivator in these last few months. I want to make reference to one, which is I did a piece called um, Chicago, City of the Big Shoulder Pads. And right. And it was on how I tried to weave um, uh, what was going on in Chicago with ICE
Mm-hmm.
and the city's literary past. And there have been a number of wonderful writers that have come out of Chicago that are tough sons of bitches.
Yes.
It didn't fuck around. That very political, and it's just it was. I'm gonna say it was like easy to write because it was like, yes, this is it. That's the connection for me. And I love that, and making people aware of these writers.
Yeah.
And got a little blurb in for each one, a quote which I thought was really effective against ICE. And then and oh my gosh, what's going on in Minneapolis?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think uh, it felt like they tested the waters in California. Things didn't go well. They took them to Chicago. Didn't go well. We
Mm-hmm.
weren't having it. Go to Minneapolis. You absolutely aren't. And that's the pattern I see.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just with its guys, it's going to get worse for you, Mr. Ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
I have to agree with you. Um, the I was curious about your take on what went down in Chicago
mhm,
because from the national publications, let's say, um, there are obvious absurdities that were not really pointed out. Like it's there's so much buffoonery that's going on.
mm,
It's been going on for quite some time. Why?
Good word.
Yeah, why do you need helicopters surrounding an apartment building?
Mhm.
Why are you like reenacting 80s action movies for simple immigration enforcement? What's going on? And so I have to
It-
wonder, do you find yourself like in a reality that's so absurd that it's like,
mhm.
well, is my job here done? Do people no longer need to read my Substack? Can they just look outside?
Right. Well, clearly, I mean, there's a couple things. One, uh, the media, national media, has been so silenced that
Mm,
I'm sure we didn't get as much content. Minneapolis didn't get as much content of what happened in Chicago. So absolutely, yeah, guys dropping down from helicopters into the tops of buildings and all that. A lot of to this day, low flying helicopters just going like that's not safe,
mm,
and it's spectacle, it's content. We know it's content. I mean, they've got their own little film crews with them, so then they can put those games. So it's content. It's content. So part of it is to scare us, and the other is that's part of their plan, um, and it didn't work in Chicago and it didn't work in Minneapolis. Um,
no, I'm. It's part of that media piece. I have to wonder. You know, are things going on in redder parts of the country that we're just not hearing about at all? If a lot of this footage is coming from the government as a content creator, which that's crazy. You might want to write that down.
oh yeah,
If the government is
that,
now a content creator, then are they also choosing what not to publish?
well, they feel they're getting their best bang for their butt in blue states.
Yeah.
Buck, sorry, in blue states. So I don't know much of what's happening to
Me neither.
southern states, Florida. My feeling is little to nothing. I mean, except maybe now they're hanging around at airports, not helping. Um,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, and that footage actually, which and again, everybody's got a camera. That we get through the internet and people sharing it. Um, uh, I haven't seen really pictures of ICE agents at airports doing nothing on the local news.
Mm,
What? I mean, they might say, "Oh, look how long the lines are," and then there's those two guys,
yeah.
so having a coffee. Um, uh, we're it's 1984 on steroids.
Agreed. I think there's also maybe another idea. I'm pitching at this point. I'm pitching you ideas, Dwayne. I feel like you can draw like some kind of line or some kind of parallels between the deployment of the National Guard to DC, where they did nothing, to the ICE agents at the airport, where they did nothing. I'm envisioning some kind of political cartoon here. I'm like, there's got to be a
Yes,
punchline, Dwayne. There's got to be a punchline.
there. I think a long time ago there was a do nothing party,
Mm.
so that might be the way we circle the square there.
Um,
Uh,
very possible. Very possible. Okay, so you're in New York. You're doing your writing. You've got your novel. You've got your article. You're also seeing off Broadway shows.
yes,
Okay, are they political yet? Is there like off Broadway political theater happening in New York?
yes,
Okay,
uh,
is it any
and
good?
it actually. One example I saw this last month when I was here is uh, they brought chess back. Uh, if you remember the big song on it, it's ABBA,
Oh,
and the big song One Night in Bangkok
okay.
was another. That was right. Now that was a very political show, and kind of given it to it was Reagan, Gorbachev, and then the chess game that's going on. So that was the parallel, right? And it didn't. The show didn't work. and they brought it back and they updated it and they did what, they tweaked it here and there, and it's great. It's great. They even make a little reference to, hey, you know, this this show isn't dated; it was prescient.
Oh,
You
there you
know,
go.
yeah. I mean, they break the fourth wall and go, look what's going on, and incredible voices. It's just much tighter. Chess, excellent. But I'll also say that lots of little theaters do things. It's a wonderful immersive piece about the book banning um, uh, from the 50s to the 60s, and the terrible things that, I mean, people were actually, believe it or not, I mean, killed because they had a book.
You're kidding.
No. Or harassed to the point where they off themselves.
Oh my God. Over a book?
Well, it's over banned books.
Wow.
Over a book, over a book of
Sure.
what now we would say is probably a pretty tame gay novel, but
Over
and there's
heated rivalry.
yeah, exactly. That's still running, and it's really just an immersive show too. So you learn about the history of this, and then it suddenly happens in the group that you're in.
Oh.
A woman drops her purse and a book falls out, and they go, "You can't have that book," and suddenly you're back in that time. I'd also say during I would say the Me Too movement, but when all that was going on, but even like the last couple of years, a lot of woman-oriented plays and musicals. So New York's and the artists here generally are on the pulse of things.
Fantastic.
And almost spooky because you know how much time it's involved to get something staged and when it was written and whatever, and to pull it off, and you go like, it's like right out of the headlines. So this trip, I saw a number of one-man shows.
Oh, okay.
That make it a big comeback, and for lots of reasons, they're cheaper to do. And if you want, I could do. If you want to hear my top three.
Okay, sure. Let's do three. Whatever. We got time.
So Anthony Rapp
Yes.
from Rent, right? It's a one-man show called called Touch.
Oh, okay.
Called Touch, and about a writer who's not been very successful, and he teaches, and he helps a student, and it goes sideways fast. Again, making you think about kind of the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? And you kind of question things. Not that you shouldn't do good things, but sometimes bad things happen out of good things, and it's just life. Sean Hayes in The Unknown. So we're all familiar with him.
Yes.
And that is about and all this is kind of a coincidence. I stumbled into going, I want to see this. A writer who, again, writer's block, can't think of a story. And then something happens to him, and he thinks he's being stalked, but it seems like he becomes a stalker unintentionally. And I don't have to say anything more than that, other than he's brilliant. I've seen him before on Broadway. Incredible. What I really came to see was True. So the gentleman from where we are, Jesse Tyler Ferguson from Modern Family, plays Truman Capote. Now, True won the Tony for Robert Morse back in the day, 20 years ago. I never got to see it. And it's about Capote's life and how he fell out of favor. I mean, if anybody who's seen The Swans, I know that some of that has been documented, but it was staged in the Episcopalian Church on 92nd Street, and it's this double-story library. So you're just in the library with him, but it's his apartment.
Cool.
Yeah, and he's right there, and the phone's ringing, and he's dishing. You kind of have to be a certain age to get most of what he's talking about. What he's dropping, Babe Paley or whatever, and you go like, oh yeah, Robert Goulet, when someone sent him, I ruining the joke, when someone sent him this big thing of a poinsettia plant,
Okay.
and he says the point or the Robert Goulet of flowers, and there's so many great Truman Capote lines. So
I
I'll
didn't
stop,
even
but
know. I love all three of those actors, love in a parasocial way. I'm like, oh, look who it is. A person I've been seeing on television for so long. And I had no idea that they were doing one man shows. And so I really appreciate you giving all of them a shout out. That's great. And I didn't recognize Jesse Tyler Ferguson in that promo at all. And the thing you held up.
I did make the mistake of reading. I try not to read reviews, but I'm so excited about seeing the show. And they went and they said, well, he doesn't lisp the way Truman Capote used to lisp. And then I thought about it and I said, if you're an actor and you need to project, how do you project lisping for 90 minutes?
Yeah.
Right. So I always thought, I don't think that's, I mean, they love the space. They thought it was okay, but whatever. But that bothered them. It's like, that's just a stupid criticism,
But
whoever you are.
have you ever thought about writing reviews? It seems like something you like,
I,
something you write.
I Yeah, I mean, thought about it. Only so many hours in the day. Um,
You could just dictate.
uh,
Does Substack have a
just
like a voice note option? You could just rattle it off and be
yeah,
done with it.
one's iPhone does, and it can copy and paste and whatever. But yeah, you're right. That's great. But you're in like an idea machine today.
I've had a lot
I
of
need to.
coffee. I watched The Comeback with Lisa Kudrow the other day, and she is an actress of a certain age who's just really engaged in like a lot of social media stuff and like the very now of it all. And
Yeah.
so my head is in that space. I'm like, we should be following Duane around with a phone. Duane goes to the supermarket.
I'm not paying $9 for a box of Rice Krispies.
So relatable. Are you familiar? I think it's Delta Work. Very Delta, I think, is her podcast.
No.
Well, she's got her whole podcast, and then she's got segments that I think that are just complaints. She just rants for 10 or 15 minutes on her complaints. So it's very possible.
I love that. I don't think complaining really ever goes out of fashion.
No.
Especially if you're talking about fashion.
But don't you already work with a drag queen?
I was on Amber Live for, wow, 3 years, 4 years. I did. And that was out of Vermont. And that was one where actually, and God bless you, I was on the show as a guest, and a couple of weeks later they said, "Would you like to do like a regular segment?" Um, and it was like, sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, why not? It was fun. I know I'm still friends with all of them. Um, uh, Russell Dreyer is works actually with me on some of my visuals, and yeah, I'd say he's my video editor. So I got some great people out of that, and yeah, it was a very good experience.
Oh, God. We had a conversation. I think that you helped arrange. You put us in contact with each other with Russell, I believe.
Yeah, okay.
And it was so funny because you've got a partner, my husband. They have demands, right? They don't care about your
Yeah.
Substack article. He doesn't care about my podcast. He's like, we got to do this stuff. And so we recorded the episode with Amber at a cabin, and everything that could go wrong did go wrong. The internet was terrible. The background was atrocious. As I'm recalling, there was like a shotgun in the back. And if you looked at it from an angle, it's like it looks like it's pointing just straight to your head, Jerome. It was
Oh no.
deeply unpleasant. But Amber was such a pro. I was like, wow, this person is like really, really legit. Um, I'm sorry about this, Amber. That was on me.
He was and remains amazing. He's now doing little AI horror videos.
Oh,
Each one do, and everyone is better than the last one. Um, yeah, I'll send you some links on what he's up to. He's the best. Just love him to death.
that's good. Who else are you loving on these days?
The other thing I saw, which is just happen to have it here, Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman, which I had never seen, and I'm loving on Nathan. Yeah, right. Um, um, uh, Nathan Lane and Laurie Metcalf,
Oh
especially
my
Laurie
god.
Metcalf. Not a Steppenwolf, so I've seen her in anything. I really think almost anything she does. I think for the last 5 years, um, she's Meryl Streep and beyond. And Nathan Lane, God
Yeah.
bless him.
Yeah.
Just man, we're so lucky to have him because there are so many people who aren't here who should be here.
Mm,
Actors and writers and musicians, and give me some Sylvester,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Give me some Divine. Yeah, Divine. Okay, don't get me started on Divine. We do a whole thing on Divine. So and I mean, I like people both living and dead, and I often feel just because they're not with us doesn't mean it can't give them some love
Yeah.
and feature about them or whatever. And I'm excited to see, hey, there's going to be a Divine musical. Somebody's going to do it. It's going to happen. John Waters has got that. I think he's got a little interest in
Fair.
it. But yeah, so I just I try to have my my nose out there sniffing around going what's coming up next. um
Well, when you
but
are,
that's please.
I'm curious. Your face kind of lit up when you started talking about Nathan Lane and Laurie Metcalf, and I'm wondering, do you find yourself inspired by them? Like, do you look to them frequently? And you're like, whatever you're doing, I'm going to follow you around, and we are like, I'm going to see your stuff. Um,
Yeah.
so, but do you find yourself inspired by them creatively, or do you just admire their work, or is it a little bit of both?
Well, I'm not being an actor. I admire their work, but somebody like Charles Bush, who's both a writer and an actor, and what can't he do? Um, uh, he's definitely inspiring, and his work has changed too. He's a different writer than he was 20 some years ago. He's become more seriously funny and funny seriously. Hey,
I
uh,
I'm going to push back on you a little bit, not about the person, but about the boundary between like artistic expression and inspiration, because your Keith Haring shirt is reminding me that I went to an exhibit on Keith Haring here in Minneapolis, and afterwards I tried writing a little bit about something that was more serious than funny, I think. But it was like, oh, it's a shame he didn't live long enough to really appreciate butts. Because he has so many penises in his works. And I'm like, where are your butts? And then, the tragedy is he passed away before he could really experience the fullness of the body.
yeah,
Um, and so I
good. Yeah,
thank you. Could have been a good article if I would stop drinking coffee long enough to like sit still and write it down. But I'm not sure that you not being an actor means you can't be inspired in your writing by actors. Is what the point I was trying to make.
Yes, though I will say that, I mean, reading Arthur Miller and seeing Arthur Miller's work performed
Mm.
was two different things. Uh, and I do hang on the words and the sentence and the language structure, but it's difficult to go and separate that from how the actor is portraying it, emoting it, being in the moment of it. Um, uh, so if I start paying too much attention to that, like, oh, I love that phrase. Oh, I love how I do that. And then I'm doing that. I'm not paying attention to Nathan Lane. And at one point in Death of a Salesman, he's having an argument with five different people, right? In three different times. So his one son in the present is the same son from 20 years ago. Uh, Laurie Metcalf as his wife, his other son. I mean, so if I just start going like, wow, that was a great word.
Yeah.
Arthur Miller, I like how you use that word. And I'm going like, no, you know, just trying to keep up with Nathan Lane. There's always things that, like, to surprise you in a show. And that was one of them. And how, masterfully that was done. He didn't miss a beat. And you understood. And all these things, of course, are going on. Well, you start to, obviously, these things from 20 years ago. He's remembering this conversation that he had with his
Yeah.
son. Um, uh, Things like that. I'm going, I would say that idea is inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah. And as I would say, as a device.
Right.
And so often, and even maybe subconsciously, I come away with something and go, yeah, there's an idea there. So yes.
Well, you're consuming so much art, you know.
Yeah.
It sounds like you read the screenplay for Death of a Salesman. Are you able to read the screenplays in advance of the one man shows?
No,
Okay. Okay.
no. For the most part, these are, well, True is out there. I shouldn't say that. True's been out there, and one can read that.
Okay.
But the other two, I believe, were either written specifically for that actor. And then, I mean, as a playwright, it's getting their work out there, because Touch was, I mean, 45 people uh, the basement of an East Village, tenement.
Yeah.
Um, and it was a great little theater, but I mean, it's 45 seats, and you're seeing somebody who's a Broadway star, is in the movies. He's right there, and that intimacy is different too
Mm-hmm.
than if, third balcony, the last seat, trying. Thing. It's it's a different experience. Um,
Well, so you've been doing some book readings, I believe.
yes,
Which experience are your readings most like? Are they more intimate, or are you in an arena of some kind? It's nosebleeds.
yes,
If you want to get there, it's
and
nosebleeds for you.
right, basically with a cattle prod. I don't know why. Um, these are book readings. They've generally been in either libraries or antique stores, big antique
Sure.
stores. Large antique stores often have a little space for, I'll be next to the vending machine, uh, and the coffee pot. I'm
Hey,
always near a. So yeah,
I wouldn't complain.
no. And I learn something every time. I misjudge people all the time.
Oh,
Uh, I remember I did one reading, and there was this. I'm going like, this guy's got to be a trumper. He just has to be. I mean, the arms are crossed the whole time, and going like, oh, if this thing gets any gayer, he's just gonna jump out of his seat, right? And I was convinced of that. And he came up and he wanted me to sign a book which he'd already purchased, and he was so scared and nervous speaking to me.
wow.
Big guy, he's this big guy. The big people can be frightened too,
Yeah.
right? I'm diminutive. Let's use that word. Um, so I always kind of assume that. And then I had a kid come up to me who was like 19, and also, I seem to frighten people, but and he said, like, he goes, this is one of the first, like, how did he say it? One of the first gay books I got. I understood it. I understood. And he goes right to the chapter about like me being bullied, in high school, and that's a funny story, kind of terrifying. But he was like, "Oh, you don't know what it means for you to be here. Do you know? Do you understand? Like there's really, I don't think there. Of course, there've been gay people there before, but nobody ever really said it, out loud. Um, so I mean, just aw.
Amazing.
Yeah, he and the big guy, they got a hug. How could they not? But I'll tell you one more, and then because that. But I had heard that there was a woman who was going to be there who was so excited to meet me. I didn't know who it was, and there was a line of people, and we're down to the last person. I thought, well, maybe she wasn't even here, and sure enough, it's the last person, and she says to me, "The story you wrote about the transgender person." Just leave it at that. Um, she goes, I was at that sale. Yes. What are the odds of that? What are the odds of that? And that was it was forever ago. And really, it's a long time ago. And I said, what did you buy? And she starts telling me, and I stop. I said, wait a minute. Did you also buy that floor lamp that had the arts and crafts shade? And she goes, it's sitting in my living room. It's one of my favorite things. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps telling you.
Yes.
And I always knew something. There was something different about that sale, but I couldn't put my finger on it. She said, "Had you go to sales, you think, yeah, there's a story. I'm looking for. Is there a story here? But just there's something. I don't want to say that's off. It's curious. It's just not. You're not just picking up a bunch of Pyrex and out the door you go, right? Um, yeah, she said she got that vibe, and it was like, yeah, that's. And I dug a little deeper, and I got lucky, and and that was in the New York Times. So. Oh, that was so special for both of us. Uh,
Yes. Are these
yeah.
are these readings taking place in more rural areas? You saying you thought the one big guy was a Trumper?
Well, you go out. You don't have to go too far outside of Chicago to be in Indiana, um, right? You can go seriously. You can go. I'll be kind. 50 miles outside of Madison, Wisconsin, and Madison, Wisconsin is so liberal, college town, state capital, liberal, liberal, liberal. You get out there, they're kind of picking and a grinning. There's a Ku Klux Klan
No.
group. Yes, yes, there is. They didn't attend one of my readings, but they're of that.
Yeah.
So, and part. So I mean, I kind of get the skinny on that. So you don't have to go too far outside of any major city. I feel to you know, and I don't want to say that that's the real America because real America's there's filled with all kinds of people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's queer people everywhere. Um, there's lonely people everywhere, uh, and uh, and there's people who really care about others everywhere. And you see that now with when Rachel Maddow covers these little towns and they have their marches, and those people are coming out. Like where the hell are we? But they're there.
Oh, that's wonderful. I completely agree. And now that I think about it, is BAM an anomaly for being an antique market in the city? Like, are most antique markets kind of in more rural locations?
Well, yes, because the properties are just so much cheaper.
Yeah.
You there are malls that are it would seem in Ohio. I know there's one where it almost seems like it's a small airport. It's that big. Um, uh, and in the city, rents are very high, as any city. Um, so we have that luxury of space. So there's nothing as large, and yeah, I hate to say it, but even when I got into this, it was like, what people want? They want more. They want more, 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 and they'll go just these 2 floors, just these 20,000 square feet. But you know, um, you know what, Pennsylvania, and yeah, in a place is 200,000 square feet. But often you don't find anything in those places. There's so much. I mean, people go into our store and say we're overwhelmed. We're overwhelmed. We're overwhelming, but we're curated. So we have different ways of merchandising things. In that we have sections that people are looking for this or that, but we also have it where you can just go wander. Some people just want to dig. People love those booths when they could dig. I'm not a fan of something what that looks like, but if people are happy, and that's what it's all about. I do love that, and in that I am blessed, is because people will say, even when there's we've all been going through some really bad days, and people come in and feel comfortable expressing themselves about how they feel, and they say, I want to get out. I had to turn off the TV and turn off my phone and come here, and this is my happy place. And I hear that over and over. And the McDonald's reference creeps me out a little, but I know what they're saying. I know what they mean, and the fact that they feel safe. We have a really large transgender um, uh, group of customers, and it's because they feel safe, and nobody questions anything, and everyone behaves. And if someone doesn't, we call them out on it. It doesn't happen too often, but you could be there on a Sunday afternoon, and some bearded person runs by in a wedding dress, and then it's going, can you zip me up? It's just like, oh, that's Sunday. Yeah. uh,
Oh my gosh. Duane, I love that you have found this intersection of um like art and artistry and antiques and people and
mhm,
stories and
mhm.
authenticity. And you found a way to wrap all of that up and share it with us through so many channels and so many styles and so many stories. It's really just a wonderful service, almost, that you're not a nonprofit, and yet I feel.
you know Thank you so much. That's very kind. That's very kind. And again, I'm lucky because I have wonderful people in my life, including you. Um, Now, the second time on this fantastic podcast. And I'll tell you one thing I thought was kind of funny. I had been on a show in Oklahoma, right? And it was one of these. It was, I don't know, Billy Bob and Sally Sue kind of thing, right? And they knew what they were getting into. And I had the best time. And uh, oh my gosh, I sold so many books um, out in the rural nowhere, and have been asked back on the show. And so to me, that's like, okay, yeah, did it. And again, to make people can learn, and perhaps be inspired, and if nothing else, be a little happier.
Yeah, I love that. Duane,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I was about to let you go. I actually have to
No.
thank you because you signed on as a Patreon supporter somehow. What, I don't even know. Like, I thought I took all the links down, but you
Yeah.
found them, and you managed to get in and support. And so I need to be better about making sure our Patreon is updated and constantly delivering like the level of the experience that I would like for it to deliver. But for your books and your Substack, first I gotta make sure I post the accurate link to your Substack in the description. Put it on the video. And then if you're selling a bunch of books, are you selling a lot of ebooks, or are they physical copies that
um,
people are mostly buying?
um, yeah, sell a lot of ebooks. I sell audiobooks of the first. There's an audiobook of the first, and everybody who's watching this should be subscribing and chipping in and buying you a cup of coffee.
And reading your
Uh,
Substack.
and reading my Substack. Yes, it's we're all connected in that. Um, uh, I have I give 1 minute and I tell one story.
Go ahead, take your time.
A friend, I was out in California, and a friend, good friend from college, that said, uh, fixed me up at the airport and says, it's first thing he said, I want to take you to dinner. And I said, that would just be great. I'm just tired. That'd be great. And so we're driving along, and he goes, oh, there's a Costco. And I thought, oh, he wants to pick up groceries for his place. And so we go in there and he gets a cart, and he walks up to the first woman, Esther. He knew her name, right? She's got the little weenies as the samples, right? And he go, Esther, how are you? And she goes, fine, David, how are you? And I'm out and I don't care. And and he says, how's the rheumatism? Is that any better? And she goes, no, it's oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And then he says, do you want a sausage? And I go, no, I'm fine. And then we go a little further, and there's uh, there's Betty, and she's got some energy drink in a cup, right? And she goes, David, I haven't seen you in a while. How you been? And he goes, I'm good. Did the cataract? Did you get that operation? Yeah, I did. It's like I'm seeing much better now. And da da da. And have this. You want an energy drink now, right? Go to the third one. He knows the woman's name. The woman knows him. I'll speed this along, right? I'm going, geez, I'm getting kind of hungry. We're wandering this store, And so we're going out the front, and he says, I'm really surprised you didn't want anything. And I says, well, I'm looking forward to dinner. And he said, well, this was dinner. Seriously. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, yeah, I don't really like spending money in restaurants. It gets too expensive. So, I come here. And I said, well, I'm going to get a hot dog for $1.50 then, because that's what I'm really hungry. We're still friends, but so that's my dinner with Andre. Well, this is my dinner at Costco. Yeah.
Beautiful story. I really appreciated the part where he was like, oh, look, there's a Costco.
Yeah. I should have caught on right there. Around going like, why I did find it endearing that he knew all their names and their melodies. And so it was like, he's a good guy. He's just cheap. Extremely cheap. Yeah,
but enough about my husband.
Yes. Right. He can support you in other ways.
Oh my gosh. Duane, once again, my mouth hurts from smiling after a conversation with you. Thank you so much for coming on and being just your beautiful, beautiful self.
Oh, God. Hugs.
Bye.